technology doesn't solve more compliance than legal team. Sweeps are never a product decision.
The great platform, they still fail because one legal mistake.
Now, see, when we compare bonus and transparencies, it's like comparing apple to orange. Every retention feature you develop, that is a compliance feature wearing in disguise. Before shipping, you have to build a gate. Don't ignore the product, but at the same time,
Hello everybody, welcome back to the another episode of iGaming Unfiltered powered by KodeDice. And today we are talking about something that's creating a lot of buzz in the iGaming industry. That is nothing but the sweepstakes. It seems like everyone has an opinion about it. Some says it is the next big opportunity while others believe it's changing the way operators launching their business. So to understand that, what's really happening, I am joined by Snehal Bhatt, the CEO at KodeDice. And Snehal, welcome to the podcast. How are your energy today? Looking at
thank
we
you.
are we
It's
talking about the
yeah,
sweepstakes.
yeah. I mean, this is one of my very favorite subject to talk on. We are working very heavily on this, so yeah, pretty much excited to talk more about that and see, can spread some good word on that.
Mm-hmm. That's very nice to know, Snehal. And also, about the sweepstakes, yesterday I actually read your blog. It was all
Mhm.
about the alternative method of entry in sweepstake, and it was amazing blog which you have written.
Yeah,
So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's the reason I
Because
was selecting
that's
this topic.
yeah. Alternate method of entry is one of the core part of why sweepstake exists, and why it is kind of illegal. Well, some says legal,
And
some
it is
says gray,
existed
but
since very long, or it is just came into the market.
so sweepstake is in market for long, where it was just about prizes and rewards and everything. But then people come out with certain variations of that, and there is a kind of a loophole, if you want to say that. But using that multiple currencies, and users should not have to pay to play that or win the rewards. That is the kind of a
Mm-hmm.
arrangement what sweepstake permits, and now it is the sweepstakes casino or even the sports book is built on top of that. So existence from long, but then innovated quite heavily in last 4 5 6 years.
And also, Snehal, I have been noticing a constant interest these days to the operators. Now, if we
Hmm.
speak about it, the casino solutions, there are so many casino solutions are existed into the marketplace. So just like sportsbook, daily fantasy sports, and many more casino solutions are there into market. But
Hmm.
the operators are choosing sweepstakes over everything else. Is it easy to access them? Because it is obviously sweepstake is meant for, to reduce the legal procedures and all those stuffs. But I wanted to
Hmm.
understand why are so many operators moving towards the sweepstakes today?
Right. Good question. And just to very quickly clarify, DFS prediction markets are kind of a separate bracket. The casino style games don't come into the picture. But then if you talk about casino, it comes into iGaming space. The core iGaming. And if you talk about real money without sweepstakes, it's 7 states, I guess, or yeah, 7 states, I guess, yes, where you need a license, and to have that license and go live, you need maybe 12 to 24 months and minimum 7 figures before you even accept a single bet. Versus if you talk
Hmm.
about sweepstakes, right? Live in 38, 40 states, some of them are getting banned. Of course, that's a part and parcel of the game. But then, in 90 days, you can ideally go live. So this is the reason why people are choosing sweepstakes, in iGaming, because market to entry to market is not that too complex, not that too expensive. You have to take care of the legal stuff, but yes, a huge advantage when we compare to real money iGaming platforms.
So it is all because of it is very easy for the operators to enter into the market. That's the reason they are more over interested in the sweepstake, right?
Yeah. And if I just have to frame, sweeps are never a product decision. It was always a licensing decision. So yeah, if that answers yes.
That's really interesting. So, it's also not about because it's trending. It's also because the business reason behind it. Because, entering into a market, it's another business reason, which, very added to the sweepstake casino thing. But that's where my next question is heading. So these days, operators are looking for easy access, less legal
Hmm.
procedures, and more profits, right? But taking the decisions, or I would say looking for profitability and take the decisions is easy. But turning into a correct decision, that's where the most operators generally fails because the operators are looking into so many things at the same time. And that is the reason. And sometimes what I feel is even if the operators have a great product, the great platform, they still fail because one legal mistake. Do you really feel that can a great product still fail because one legal mistake?
See, absolutely. As we just spoke in the last question, sweeps is always a license decision and not the product decision, right? So, however the great your product is, if you talk about product, what you need: a good casino games, good game mathematics. There are many aggregators who have that ready, certified, tested. So that's not going to be a problem at all. But it's all about the legal part, right? If we talk about sweeps, there are three elements. There is a price, there is a chance, and there is a consideration. Consideration
Mhm.
is like, if you have to pay to be a part of that reward. And if you have consideration still existing in the sweeps, or let's say only existence, then it's not a sweeps. And that's the legal mistake which everyone want to avoid. That's why there are different kind of AMOEs available, right? So
Mhm.
you tap, because just people by building a good product, if you still can't able to give same chances of winning to the player who are just coming in with AMOE or they are purchasing the bundles, if that is not
Mhm.
on level, it's a legal mistake that will maybe get you shut for sure.
So compliance mistake could be a very much towards into legal mistake, which we can look into, right? The operators are more of a level
Yeah,
into compliance mistake, and that's where they ruin the game.
yeah, absolutely. See, let's take a very quick example. What operators underestimate a lot, that as an operator you rarely get killed by an attorney general or the rules and everything first. Just imagine there is a change in rules or MCC coding for the payment processes. They changes something, and the payment processor what you are using, they put you in a different list, and you don't have any payment processor to go ahead with that. So those are the legal things which is not completely in your hand. At the same time, it is the ecosystem. So compliance is going to be a huge factor, which product you can, it's in your hand. Compliance, it's not. You can able to follow what is given, but then it's not that easy as well.
And if we are speaking about the compliance, so basically that's a very good perspective, first of all, Snehal. And it
Mhm.
shows also that building a good product is not the complete work which you have done. It is a half the job, and the rest of the job will come after it. But now, even if we are speaking about the platform, the operators are adding too much their attention on player behavior, their likabilities of the players, and they are adding the bonuses, more game registration, players, and also they are adding the features into the
Mhm.
operators platform, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel adding a feature will also become a compliance issue at certain, period of time. So, do you really feel that why do simple features becomes compliance issue? And what kind of a compliance issue will definitely going to be see if the operators, take the decisions of adding the more features into the platform?
Absolutely. See, and there is no wrong in saying that you have to continuously improve, enhance your product to retain the user, right? So
Yes,
that is
true.
that is must. But what happens is every retention feature you develop, that is a compliance feature wearing in disguise, right? Because growth teams who are working on growth, they optimize for ARP, average return per users, right? But compliance exists downstreams. So you ship a timed bonus, you are triggering a bonus that only fires after a purchase. Or just an example like buy two, get 3x sweeps. Or a tournament
Mm-hmm.
that is seeded by package size. And each one quietly reintroduce consideration to break the equal odds. Because if you are giving priority to the people who are paying higher, you're not compliant with the sweepstake rules. So you, as a growth team, you just implemented a bonus. But if it's not checked from a compliance point of view, you're gonna get in trouble for sure. So to fix this, you have to fix a pre-build gate and not a post-build review. So before shipping, you have to build a gate. Each feature should pass through that to make sure that it is compliant. One page, four question, every feature passes before it succeeds. Very simple thing. Does a zero spend player get identical odds, identical entity, and identical redemption speed? If that is same and any
Mm-hmm.
of the answer is no, you will not ship. right? So
Mm-hmm.
that is important.
Makes
Just
sense.
make sure that before launching anything, those 4 or 5 questions, you take care of that. If any of the answer is no, you don't go ahead with that feature.
That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes experience looks simple, but the work behind it that makes it too
Yeah,
difficult, right? But if
absolutely.
we are speaking about the work done from the operators, they're actually too much thinking about the acquisition. They're actually too much
Mhm.
thinking about the retention, players, profits, also sometimes scalability, and many other things. But if we look at the broader terms, building trust is more important, right?
Yeah.
So we generally look into what operators making the mistakes. But I think most of the operators are not looking into building a trust. They are looking into acquisition and retention, but trust is the most important factor for both of the things. That's what I feel. So, what builds more trust for the players? The bonuses system will going to be built more trust, or the transparency will going to be built more trust?
Hmm. See, when we compare bonus and transparencies, it's like comparing apple to oranges. It's a wrong binary, first of all, right? Because they operate at different points in the funnel. And bonuses gets a player to the cashier, but transparency gets past them. So the moment of truth isn't a welcome offer, it's the first redemption. That's where the actual KYC friction or unexplained delay in the redemption that comes to the in eyes of the players. So sweeps players are structurally more skeptical than real money players. Why? Because the model sits in a gray space. The license is not a gray space, so they are going to get the money. But sweeps being in gray space, the players are more skeptical, and they are already looking for the cash. So what happens is a visible AMOE and a published redemption SLA. If you have these two things, that will outperform 200% bonus as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I instead of comparing bonus and transparency, both should do their work. One, the bonus should get the player, and then if you have the good redemption, that's the only thing, and you have the successful product identity.
Mm-hmm. But specifically, if let's take an example that there is a very fresh, newly entered into the iGaming market, there is an operator, and the operator is asking for you for the advice. What would you advise to the operator? Like, the operators need to be look into the bonus system first, need to be, maintain the transparency to the players or the compliance aspect. What is more
Absolutely right,
important from a math way?
right. If I have to rank, right, compliance being the first, and it's non-negotiable. Without that, you can't go
Definitely.
out, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you After I will put bonus, right? It's just because what they have to take care of the most. If you have good bonus, that will get you the users, that will get you the money flowing in. People start
Mm-hmm.
buying the packages, start playing on that. And if you have a proper redemption flow, transparency is a byproduct of that idea. So it's not that you have to
Mm-hmm.
do specific certain points to get transparency, to give users an idea that we are transparent and all. If you
Mm-hmm.
have a good redemption flow, I think that's completely byproduct. And if compliance is taken care of, your redemption will not have any flow. So as I said,
Mm-hmm.
transparency is always a byproduct, and it should be important, but not visible and not tangible as well.
That's a very nice way to put it. And we have been speaking about it where the operators is going wrong. But I want to shift the gears towards where the sweepstakes space is heading towards. Because what we have observed, we have to also integrate that thing in what is happening into the market. And yesterday, like I said, I was reading your blog and I was getting to know about the AMOE, which is alternative method of
Yeah.
entry in sweepstakes. And it was amazing, first of all. It was
Hmm.
amazing blog which you have written. So, alternative method of entry is now the part of discussion for every operators these days.
Yeah.
So, do you really feel is the digital AMOE, the digital alternative method of entry, is becoming the new standard for the sweepstakes?
Absolutely. See, mail the kind of physical AMOE is already vestigial. It's it's not. It's a kind of a legal factor. Let's just be very straight on this. It exists for the legal file and not for the player. But digital AMOE solve the friction. Not again. It doesn't solve the legality though completely. And that distinction
Mm-hmm.
is where operators get comfortable too early. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't get rid of physical AMOE. It should be there for the legal entity. But I mean, maybe 5 out of 10, 100 will be using the physical AMOE. Digital AMOE is the way to go. And there are too many different ways to go ahead with that. Some people use spin
Mm-hmm.
wheel. We do have a spin wheel. We do have a daily login uh, rewards. We do have a social media rewards. So there are so many different things which you can able to
This comes
uh,
under the digital AMOE, right?
digital, everything digital AMOE. When physical AMOE
Mm-hmm.
is where you send a physical postal code, physical postal
Mm-hmm.
letter, and then it takes 4 to 5 days to reach to the operator, and then they consider your postal code, they feed enter into the backend, and then you get your whatever the redemption coins what you have. So that's completely different. Completely different way to go ahead with that. So digital
Mm-hmm.
AMOE all the way. Physical AMOE just exists for the people for sure.
Mm-hmm. So physical AMOE is still existing in the market because everything is
It
digital right
is.
now. But still
No,
there
it
is a phase
is
of physical
for
AMOE.
for legality you need that. For legality you
Okay.
need it.
Got
You
it. Got
don't
it.
want to keep
Now,
any stone unturned. You want to cover everything compliant possible.
So now if we are speaking about the legality, so the legal teams, so basically, if we consider the operator does have the two teams. One is the technology and one the team which is looking into the legal teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the legal teams generally look into the law thing and the compliance aspect, but the technology is also moving hand in hand. I would
Mm-hmm.
like to understand this in sweepstakes. Can technology solve more compliance problem than the legal team? Because they both work in simultaneously, and technology is also coming into marketplace with a very big shift. Technology is
Mm-hmm.
also evolving, and technology solves many of the problems rather than the manual work. So, what do you think
Absolutely.
about it?
No, no, it's not the answer many people will be looking for. Technology doesn't solve more compliance than legal team. I would rather say that as a platform vendor than pretend otherwise, right? Legal decides what compliant means. It's very important term. They decide what compliant means. Technology enforces it consistently and prove it later.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of you know technology team, if they don't know what they have to make it compliant, they can't develop that. They can't do the development of to making sure it happens. A system can guarantee identical RNG and payout logic across free and paid entries, and produce even time-stamped evidence for every backdated entries for years. It cannot tell you whether that enforcement powers reach you to the next quarter, because if that is it's a technology part where whatever the legal things which we need, they can able to implement that, but what they need to implement, that comes from the legal side. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
concession I would make on record, that our industry sells a compliance platform as if compliance was a feature you buy and not just the technical and good look and feel product.
Mm-hmm. Amazing instinct so far. So basically, technology and the compliance are working hand in hand, and they both are important to the operators, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And it is a really amazing conversation so far, Snehal. And if I look at the experts like you can also
Hmm.
predict, what will going to be happen after, certain period of time, what will going to be happen after certain year in the sweepstake space, or I would say in the iGaming space. So which part
Sure.
of the sweepstake platform will change the most by 2030? What do you feel? What will be the future of iGaming? What will be the future of iGaming in terms of the sweepstake space?
Nice. And this is one of the core discussion we always keeps having when we discuss about product, about what's the future. We do have three, not kind of prediction, but three things which we think can happen in next 4 to 6 years. Right. First is, there can be licensing layer. Some states will tax sweeps rather than ban it, right? Because everyone wants the revenue, so why not? Being it's very uh, popular. New Jersey has been the lone regulate rather than prohibited trade. So New Jersey is a good model to follow, and you might expect a different category for the sweeps. Second will be the currency model, because dual currency is a legal target. That is the only thing where the complete sweeps casino has built upon. So the innovations might move to the structure that don't rely on it. Prediction markets, skill based, event based entries. There are so many things to look at, and people are trying to innovate into that as of now as well. So we'll see, how it can compete with what existing we have, and depending on that, it can move. Third, what we
Mm-hmm.
understand, it's a very important and most underrated, is consolidation. So compliance cost per state is close to fixed. Every state, it doesn't vary much. A 10 state
Mm-hmm.
operator and a 100,000 player operator pay similar legal
Mm-hmm.
fees. So there is not too much of challenges in that in terms of monetary. by 2030, the question might be whatever. It's not about. It might not be about sweeps is legal or not. It's whether you
Mhm.
are big enough to afford being legal, right? So that consolidation is something we do sense somewhere around the corner.
Amazing, amazing insights so far. And I am for sure the operators, whoever the operators is watching this podcast, they will get a completely amazing gem from this conversation, right? But it's time to wrap up the conversation because it is a too much serious conversation is happening. And actually, I was really curious about so many questions and I got a very clear answer for that. So actually, I wanted to play a game with you to wrap up
Sure.
the conversation. So it is our rapid fire round, which I will not say it is
Mhm.
our rapid fire round. It is the different thing which we have built this time.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it is build or break. So let's end it with the quick game. I'll name something. You tell
Mhm.
me it will going to be build the operator's business or break. So no
Okay.
overthinking at all. Just whatever
Sure.
comes in your mind, because you have to answer. Okay?
Sure.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Launching fast,
Big.
break. Okay. Bigger bonuses,
Build.
manual compliance,
Big.
AI everywhere,
Big.
entering multiple markets,
Build.
player transparency.
Build.
Nice, nice. Very nice answer. You managed to, literally give it a very one-word answer to it. And thank you so much so far, Snehal. It was a very insightful conversation, and I'm sure the operators audience has got a many, many insightful gems. But before we end this conversation, do you have any last parting words for the operators, especially for the sweepstake operators? The operators are actually too much focusing on sweepstake. Any kind of a statement which you wanted to give them, kind of advice which you have for them, which will definitely want to shape their business into scalability level?
Absolutely. Don't ignore the product, but at the same time, keep your eyes on regulations, what's going on, and plan ahead of a year. I think that's what every sweeps operator needs to hear for sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.